Hey everyone, I'm Hans from Render. Welcome back. Today we'll be following up on our daily cleaning guide by talking about how to deep clean your Optic. We'll cover some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to longer term cleaning, and then talk about some of the advanced cleaning that you can do to maintain the performance of your Optic, as well as some of the cleaning to keep your Optic looking good. Let's dive right in. First, let's cover what not to do when cleaning your Optic. The materials of the Optic are quite durable, but there are still a few cleaning chemicals and techniques that will cause damage, so you'll want to avoid them. First, avoid acetone, commonly known as nail polish remover, and any heavy-duty cleaners or powerful solvents like brake parts cleaner, as they will damage plastic components. Also avoid anything acidic or alkaline like vinegar or bleach. We found that water and isopropyl alcohol and a bit of elbow grease are enough to clean pretty much any part of the Optic. Finally, don't use the cutting mat brush or any other abrasive materials to clean anything other than the spring steel hinges on the cutting mat, as it will cause scratches on the anodized aluminum and on any of the plastic components. These are just the most common things you should avoid, but if you have a specific situation or cleaning chemical that you're unsure about, you can always reach out to us at hello@render.com and we'll be happy to help. Next, let's move on from what not to do to what you should do and talk about some deep cleaning procedures that you can use to keep the performance of your Optic at 100%. Laser cutting by nature is often a bit messy, and the Optic is designed with this in mind, but there are still a few things you can do to maintain your Optic long term. Arguably, the most important part of the Optic is the laser module, so keeping it clean is important, and not just the lens. Over time, you'll see particulate and soot accumulating inside on the laser module fans, so it's a good idea to use a brush or some compressed air to clean it out as necessary to prevent it from impacting the operation of the fans. Now let's talk about when to clean the laser module lens. We've already covered how to clean the lens in a previous video, but some of you may wonder how often you need to clean it, so let's answer that. Generally, we would recommend checking the lens about every hour of machine operation, and then cleaning it if you can see a residue on the lens. Beyond that, we encourage you to clean the lens after 5 hours of use, regardless of whether the lens looks dirty or not, as not all accumulation will be visible. A bright light will always help you see what you're doing when you're cleaning the laser module lens, so keep that in mind. Finally, if you notice diminished performance, it's a good idea to clean the lens and check your focus before continuing with another project. In our daily cleaning video, we briefly touched on cleaning the inside of the upper body, but didn't go into much detail, so let's expand on that. Over time, more debris and residue will accumulate on the inside of the upper body, and while there aren't any particularly special cleaning techniques beyond what we've already covered, there are a few components that require a bit of care when doing a deep clean of your Optic. Let's take a closer look. First is the linear rail, and as I mentioned in the daily cleaning video, make sure you don't remove the grease from the rail or the bearing block. While it may look a bit dirty, the grease acts as a protective layer and is essential for mechanical reliability. Next is the belt. Just make sure not to apply excessive force to the belt during cleaning, as doing so may damage other parts of the movement system. A light brushing or cleaning with compressed air can help keep the teeth of the belt clear if it looks dirty. And for the last items in the upper body, let's look at the electronics, with the items we're looking at being the X limit switch located here, the shield switch located here, and the upper electronics, the circuit board, located here behind the pre-filter. None of these items should be cleaned with water, isopropyl alcohol, or any liquid, as doing so may damage the electronics. Instead, clean the two switches with a soft paintbrush or toothbrush, making sure to apply only gentle pressure. The upper circuit board should only be cleaned with air, either from an electric blower like this one, a compressed air can, or an air compressor with a regulator set to 20 psi or below. To clean the upper circuit board, remove the main filter from the Optic, then place a paper towel inside the area where the filter normally sits to catch any of the debris that is removed while cleaning so it doesn't make a mess. That's it for the inside of the upper body, but before we move on, we've also got an extra tip for the pre-filter. If you notice there's a lot of soot or dusty particulate accumulating on your pre-filter, you can use a blower or compressed air to remove some dirt prior to washing it. This can help make cleaning much easier. Just make sure not to damage the foam of the pre-filter when you're cleaning it, and if you're using an air compressor, just keep the regulator below 20 psi. Last time we talked about cleaning the cutting mat, but we didn't talk about how to clean the spring steel hinges or how to use the cutting mat brush, so let's cover that now. Let's start by looking at the cutting mat brush, which is included in your cleaning kit. We designed this tool specifically for cleaning the spring steel hinges that connect the three panels of the cutting mat. And to do this, it uses an abrasive pad, which can easily be swapped out by removing the tab in the back, then sliding it out. The abrasive pad is sized specifically to fit in between the panels and clean the spring steel if there's laser residue or other dirt. There is a protective coating on the spring steel to prevent oxidation, but over time this will be removed by the laser and you may notice rust forming, especially in high humidity environments. And the cutting mat brush can help with this. Using it is pretty straightforward. Just lightly scrub the areas of dirt or rust until clean. Just remember to wipe off the hinges with a dry cloth when you're done to remove any leftover abrasive particles from the brush. Now if there was rust on your hinges, here's what you can do to prevent rust in the future. Just take some light oil, like WD-40 or Bow Shield, spray it on a paper towel or cloth, then wipe down the hinges to lightly coat them with the oil. Additionally, if you have rust that is particularly stubborn, it can help to apply a small amount of WD-40s to the areas of rust before using the cleaning brush. And as a final note, just remember that if you use isopropyl alcohol to clean the hinges, you should reapply the oil right after, as isopropyl will remove the protective coating of oil. Now, for some of you, keeping your optic looking great is just as important as maintaining performance, so we'll talk about some cleaning steps that will maintain the cosmetic appearance of your optic, but aren't strictly necessary from a performance standpoint. Let's start off by looking at how best to clean the shield. As I mentioned before, absolutely never use acetone, and additionally we also recommend not using above a 70% concentration isopropyl. Most of the time, your best bet is just plain water and a paper towel or microfiber cloth, but if you happen to have an acrylic specific cleaner, like PlexiClean, that will work great as well. After you're done cleaning, just make sure to dry the shield with the lint-free cloth, as paper towels are likely to leave stray fibers on the shield. Generally, the shield isn't that difficult to clean, but to keep your optic looking good and your view of your projects clear and unobstructed during an operation, it's a good idea to clean the shield often. Lastly, let's cover the outer faces of the optic's body, which don't generally get that dirty. Isopropyl alcohol will meet most of your cleaning needs here, with occasionally the magic eraser coming in handy. Just remember that the anodized aluminum surfaces of the optic's body are really quite durable, and so long as you avoid hard metal objects and abrasives, even the dirtiest areas can look like new quite quickly. And that's it for today's deep cleaning guide. Keeping your optic clean long term using the techniques we've covered today will make sure your optic is always in top condition, looking good and running smoothly throughout its whole life. If you have any questions about cleaning the optic or any cleaning tips of your own, leave a comment below or contact us directly at hello@render.com. Thanks for watching and have fun with the optic.